I'm sitting here with Nathan Quiatrini, who goes by Nate.
Either one works for me.
Sometimes. Now you're a filmmaker. You look like a filmmaker.
I am. I have a lot of colors on my little tab here, so that means I'm a filmmaker.
Producer, director, editor. So you're not an actor.
I am an actor as well.
You are an actor.
Yeah.
You do it all.
Pretty much, yeah.
Do you act in your own films?
I did in 2 of them. One for background, the other one I had a small speaking role in, just because I like to keep the crews very small.
Right.
Because it has less confusion going on. You know, when you have 50 different people running around on a no-budget film, there's really no need for them to all be there. So I like to keep the crews very small, the cast very small, and so I ended up filling in for one of the roles.
Now, do you find that hard to direct something you're acting in, or would you just rather be completely behind the camera?
Yeah, that was very difficult because
Are you difficult to work with on yourself?
No, I'm
You're fired.
My director of photography for that film, I don't think he knew that he could kind of direct the scene I was in.
Okay.
He, you know, it was more of, it was my film, so I should know what I want to see happen.
Right.
So it was a little bit difficult on that end, but it still worked out fine.
Okay, so what kind of stuff you do? You do action, you said?
Yes, we just released 3 action short films back in April. One is a medieval drama action style. One is a purely martial arts, action driven, and the third was a Hong Kong action comedy, kind of like a spoof. If you're familiar with Stephen Chow's work, Kung Fu Hustle, Shaolin Soccer,
okay.
He was a real big influence for that one.
And then it has some subtitles in it, right? You said, right?
Yes,
Funny
it does.
subtitles?
Yes, they were translated. The main character, David LaValle Jr., pretty much the story behind the film is he is a guy who watches Hong Kong Kung Fu movies day in, day out. He learns everything that he knows by watching these films.
Okay.
So he also thinks that he learns Cantonese, because
okay.
that is the Chinese that is used in most Hong Kong films. And there is one scene where he is praying to his dead master, who is the television. That is all done in Cantonese. And we translated the subtitles very poorly at the bottom in English, just to kind of really push the idea that he doesn't know what he's doing. But he thinks he knows what he's doing, but he doesn't really have a clue.
And then you have fights, you have choreography?
Yes, we do. In American Chop Suey, which is the comedy, there was very minimal. There's a few people getting, taking kicks to the chest and going flying, stuff like that. But 5 Minutes Flat was a purely martial arts driven short. David stars in that one. He has been practicing Wushu Kung Fu for the last 9 years. We had another one of the guys from his Kung Fu class be one of the people that he's fighting against. And there was also a third guy, Jonathan Wallace, who has done capoeira, Taekwondo, Kempo, and a little bit of something else. So we kind of took all of his styles and blended them into one.
Right.
So he was just kind of like an all-around fighter doing flips and Taekwondo type stuff. And what we wanted to do with it was to really, we haven't seen any local fight scenes or martial arts style stuff that the people really know what they're doing.
Yeah, it's very difficult to make that look real and right.
It is very, very difficult, and we had a couple of mishaps where
did you get anybody hurt?
Not to the point that we had to stop shooting.
Okay.
So it was a kick to the throat here, a little cut on the hand there. Nothing really that bad for people that have been doing it for so many years. You shake their hand and you think they're going to break them, but when they're fighting against each other, I guess it's a lot easier for them to know each other's limits and control it.
Okay, now are you going to continue with that format, the Asian and the Kung Fu type of thing? Is that going to be your thing?
It depends what happens with the films, because they just got debuted in April. So it depends what's going to happen from now on.
Right.
I'm sending them out to festivals
Did you
as
say
an
they're all
entire
shorts?
package. Yes.
Okay. Now, how long are we talking? What's a short?
5 Minutes Flat is 7 minutes.
Okay.
American Chop Suey is 22 minutes, and Sons of Lemuria, which is the third film, is 18 minutes long.
Okay, so you can watch them all in under an hour.
Yeah, and Sons of Lemuria is kind of like a mini epic. It's people keep telling me it's Lord of the Rings-ish. So it takes place in the medieval times. It's pretty much the land was ruled by warlocks long ago, and they all ended up getting slaughtered after they you know, they became tapped and corrupt by power and everything, and they started killing all the people. So nature retaliated and, you know, fleshed them out.
Okay.
So before the last one of the warlocks dies, he rapes a girl in one of the villages who gives birth to halflings. So the movie is about them after they've grown up. One has taken their father's path, one's taken the mother's path.
And you packed this all into 23 minutes?
Yes. 18,
okay.
actually.
That does sound epic.
That's why it's touted as a mini epic.
All right. So
there was also a lot of fighting in that one as well. It was all swords and axes and stuff like that.
How long have you been doing this?
I started this project in January of 2007. Before that, I worked on local films for about a year, just volunteering,
helping out,
taking any position that was given to me, because that's the only way I found to learn, was to get my hands actually into things.
Right.
So, you know, if I'm put on assistant camera, I'll go to the cameraman and bug the hell out of him. Right. Just, how do you do this? What's that button do? What's that button do? What's that button do? Do you need help with this? You know, just every single position on a set, a director needs to know.
Right.
Because if you don't know what goes into doing these things, then you don't know how to tell somebody what you want to come out of it. So I spent a good year before I bought any equipment just working, doing sound. I did camera, I did a little bit of PA work, I did assistant directing. So just a whole bunch of stuff, and studying how sets work. And you know, you kind of see what to do and what not to do.
Right.
Like what makes a bad set. If you're on set, what gets you aggravated?
Right.
Okay, I'm not going to do that.
What's the worst thing on a set? What'll make you say?
Disorganization.
Yeah.
And again, the clutter of, you know, you got one guy coming over to you and being like, oh, the director asked me to do this, and then the producer comes by and says, oh, well, I don't want you to do that, so don't do that. It's like, but the director said to do it. And then they start squabbling. Right. And then somebody else comes in there like, oh, well, he said, and he said, and it's like, dude, you need minimal amount of people, and there's usually not that kind of problem. So I like everything to just kind of run smoothly.
Be organized.
Yeah.
Write that down. So did you go to school at all for this?
Not really.
Yeah.
I went to school for computer programming to start off, and I transferred and got a multimedia degree.
Okay.
But not really particularly in film. I pretty much did, again, I'm a self-learner, so I just kind of set my mind to it. I spent a lot of times on online forums. Anytime you get a question, you just post it up, get people's feedback. Just a lot of self-learning and experience on other sets.
Who would you say you learned the most from as far as a director or movie maker? Biggest influence or
biggest influence for these three films, I think, was Stephen Chow, with his comic ability of more of the
he's
Asian
a director.
Hong Kong.
Stephen Chow?
He is a director and an actor.
Where can we see your stuff?
I have trailers up on the website, which is naqproductions.com.
naqproductions.com.
There are trailers for the films up there. You can also Facebook my name, and I have trailers and another promo video on that site as well.
All right. So Nathan Quiatrini, we will look for your work out there in the world.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for coming.